Initially, we expected this phone, the OnePlus Ace 6, to launch globally as the OnePlus 15R. But turns out it's actually this one, the OnePlus Ace 6T, that's going to be making its way out of China as the OnePlus 15R, with a couple of changes, of course. So what does this one have to offer? Let's unbox and find out. If this is your first time here, or in case you just can't remember, my name's Ash, you're watching C4eTech, and let's get started. Once again, we have that familiar red OnePlus box with big bold A6T branding this time. I've got my hands on the 12256 variant, which is the base. As with most phones in this segment, OnePlus also offers up to 16 gigs of LPDDR5X RAM and up to a terabyte of UFS 4.1 storage. Now inside, we get a red insert. This houses a leaflet and a color match soft case. Then there's the phone itself, the OnePlus Ace 6T, removing the protective wrapping. You can see that the Ace 6T, it's very similar to the Ace 6 that we recently saw. It's got that same narrow camera module, just that the flash looks a little different. So you still get plenty of space to rest your fingers, especially when you're gaming in landscape. The back here, it's again frosted glass with a matte finish. Feels smooth to touch. It's very resistant to fingerprints and smudges. The frame, it's sandblasted aluminum and color matched to the back. Now, apart from this green, OnePlus also offers this phone in black as well as purple. The black is similar, but the purple, the one with a huge Ace logo to the back, that's 0.2mm slimmer and a few grams lighter, because on this one, they've gone with fiberglass. Now, barring these three colorways, there's also a Genshin Impact Special Edition. Now, this looked quite interesting to me. They've thrown in a few collectibles, there's a badge, some stickers, even a branded charger with a color match charging cable. Also, right from the boot animation, there's custom sounds, custom icons. OnePlus seems to have paid a lot of attention to detail here. Now, regardless of which colorway you end up choosing, the phone is quite sleek, 8.3mm. It weighs in a little under 220 grams, so it's not exactly light. But there is a good reason for this, because on the inside, the A60, it's packing in a mammoth 8300 mAh silicon carbon battery. Now that's the highest I've seen on a phone that doesn't look like this. Now do know that this is one stat that's expected to change when it goes global as the OnePlus 15R, because that version is expected to have a 7400 mAh battery, which is lower but still pretty large. Now in the box, we also get this SIM tool, the OnePlus Red cable, Type A to Type C, and a 100-watt charger. Using this 100-watt charger, the A60 can be charged to 25% in just 10 minutes and 100% in under an hour. It also supports 36-watt PD and 55-watt PPS, so it should charge quickly via third-party chargers too. And given the huge battery on the inside, you can make use of reverse wired charging to be able to say charge an accessory in a pinch. OnePlus also continues to provide an option to bypass charging entirely and run the phone off the wall adapter in case you want to push performance without having to worry about battery heat. Now, talking about performance, the A60, it's the first phone to sport the all-new Snapdragon 8 Gen 5. Now, these days, it's common for brands to offer a sub-flagship of sorts where they use last year's flagship SoC on their phones. Now, these are the phones that are typically aimed at performance without breaking the bank. Now, OnePlus does this too, and they do it with their R phones. Now, for example, the OnePlus 11R launched with the Snapdragon 8 Plus Gen 1, when the flagship OnePlus 11 was selling with the 8 Gen 2, which was the current flagship SoC from Qualcomm. Again, OnePlus 12R launched with Snapdragon 8 Gen 2, when the OnePlus 12 was powered by the Snapdragon 8 Gen 3. Similarly, the OnePlus 13R launched with the Snapdragon 8 Gen 3, when the OnePlus 13 was being powered by the Snapdragon 8 Elite. You see the trend, right? Now, Qualcomm seems to want to change this. So now in 2025, what they're doing is offering two flagship SoCs. We've got the Snapdragon 8 Elite Gen 5 and this, the 8 Gen 5. Now the 8 Gen 5, that's what they expect brands to use in phones where they typically use the 8 Elite, last year's flagship chip. And from a business perspective, it makes sense for both Qualcomm as well as the manufacturer, since it keeps them from having to use elite chips on non-elite devices or non-flagship devices. So this could technically help them keep the costs high. Now to the consumer, in the 8 Gen 5, we get an SoC that performs very close to the 8 Elite, but is slightly behind with both CPU as well as GPU. So as a consumer, I'm not really happy with this development. It is what it is, and yeah, this is not gonna be common opinion because you're not gonna be seeing a lot of people saying this. I can, since I don't depend on brands for my devices, I source most of them myself, so I'm not restricted to brand talking points. Now, if you appreciate that, please show your support, drop this video a like, get subscribed. It really helps me keep the channel alive. Anyways, what do you think about this? A slightly weaker 8 Gen 5 instead of the 8 Elite on phones like this, the OnePlus 15R? Leave a comment down below. Now, though this SoC slots below the 8 Elite technically, it still has enough horsepower to run pretty much anything thrown at it. And the gaming experience found it pretty good. The A60 retained about 70% of its peak performance on a stress test, and it stayed cool throughout, topping out at just 43 degrees. So there is headroom in case OnePlus wants to push the performance bit further. And the gaming experience is complemented well by both the stereo speakers and this awesome display. Now, this is the same panel that we saw on the A6, 6.83 inches, AMOLED, 1.5K resolution, 165Hz refresh. The UX is buttery smooth, everything's sharp, and this panel, it gets bright. It feels very premium. We tested a brightness peak of over 2000 nits, so it's very easy to use outdoors. Under low light, there is support for 3840Hz PWM dimming to help reduce flicker. Now, like I said, this is the same panel from the A6, so it comes with the same trade-off. LTPS, not LTPO, so it can't dynamically scale the refresh rate, meaning you don't get something like, say, full screen always on, and you also take a bit of a head-on efficiency. But with an 8300 mAh battery or even a 7400 mAh battery globally, a slight efficiency hit shouldn't really be an issue for this phone, right? Now, moving on, OnePlus offers up to an IP69K rating for ingress protection. The fingerprint scanner is placed conveniently and is of the ultrasonic variety. The support for NFC, Bluetooth 5.4, Wi-Fi 7, the programmable action button, plus key as it's called globally, that's also present and accounted for. The Type-C port though, it's still USB 2. Now, while the focus here is not on optics, the cameras, they're pretty okay. We get two to the back. The primary is the 50 megapixel Sony IMX906, a 1x1.56 inch sensor, which is paired with an optically stabilized f1.8 lens. It performs like pretty much every other implementation of it that we've seen, and we've seen a lot of it, right? Simply put, it produces good results. It's still a step under phones with larger sensors, but I'd call it pretty solid, even under low light. Now, the secondary, the 8 megapixel ultra wide, it's nothing to write home about. The selfie camera here is 16 megapixels on the A60, and it only supports 1080x30 video. But globally, as the 15R, this is expected to change. The 15R, it's supposed to have a 32 megapixel selfie camera and should be able to capture 4K video. Okay, now finally, let's talk pricing. In China, this phone starts at 2599 RMB, the same price as the OnePlus Ace, which kind of felt a little weird to me. 8 Elite, 8 Gen 5, same price. How does that work? So I dug a little deeper, and that's where I noticed OnePlus being a little disingenuous. Now, in China, for the past year or so, there's been this government subsidy on phones, meaning every Chinese citizen can buy at least one phone at a reduced price, which is one of the reasons we've been seeing brands hike up prices of phones across the range this year in China, because thanks to the subsidy, most people in China are not feeling the pinch of the price hikes. Now here, when you look at the subsidized prices between these two phones, you can see that the A60 actually costs a lot lesser than the A6. So while on paper both phones are priced similarly, the actual cost to the consumer, the A60 is cheaper. Anyways, enough about China. Globally, as the 15R this year, we're getting an 8 Gen 5 instead of an 8 Elite, and we're also losing that telephoto that we got with the 13R. So personally, I'd be happy if the launch price remained the same as the 13R, but given ballooning RAM prices, I wouldn't be surprised if the 15R ended up being a tad more expensive. But as long as OnePlus doesn't hike the price way too much, this phone seems like it should be a good value proposition for people looking to pick up a performance-focused phone with no frills. So what do you think about this one? Drop a comment down below, and thanks for watching. Ash out.